Hi guys, welcome back to Dr. Introspect TV, and it's your host Dr. Introspect, and I'm back. So that's our intro, and we're done. And as you can see, I kind of changed my setup today, and I thought I should go for something different. Okay, actually, that's not the story. This might make the video longer, but everything happened. I shot this video initially and my camera died. So I had to switch to my phone, and my stand only it only fits on my table. And I had to sit on the floor, but like it doesn't look so bad now, does it? Like I think it turned out pretty well. I don't know, let me know what you think. But this is our new setup. Might keep it moving forward. Other things, I don't have a movie for you today. I didn't really find any movie that spoke to me so much, and I didn't really get so much of a go ahead on whether or not to bring Fatal Affair to you guys. So I thought I would just bring something else. As you know, our channel is taking different directions. We're not just reviewing movies here or looking at movies. We're doing deep dives into other broader topics as well. And with that, I'm bringing to you a book by a famous author. It's actually not a new book, it's mostly an oldie, but it's a goodie. And it's by Eckhart Tolle. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. You know what? Hold on. Okay, Google. How do you pronounce Eckhart Tolle? It's not responding. Okay, so it's by Eckhart Tolle, and the title is The Power of Now. So I'm just going to be touching on some of the themes I found in the book that I thought really touched me in a really significant way, and I thought it would be beneficial for me to just bring it to you guys, and you know, we can all learn from it, I guess. So with that being said, I'm just going to dive right in. So Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the mind. So when you read the first few chapters about this book, it seems as if he is demonizing the mind and just making it seem like the mind is the root of all evil, kind of like how people say money is the root of all evil, but it's not money that's the root of all evil, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. So the mind he makes seem like it's like this, he really demonizes it, right? And for someone that is highly intuitive, or you know, you consider yourself an intellectual, you spend a lot of time deep, you know, in your mind thinking and pondering on things, it's kind of like a taboo. It's like a slap in the face. Honestly, I felt so attacked while reading this book, but I knew what took me to this book, and I know I'm probably coming across it much later in life. I'm not that old. I'm not really that old. Okay, I'm coming across it much later in life as compared to other people that have probably come across this book. But maybe you might find newer depths in this reflection that I'm bringing to you that you might resonate with. So for me, I just felt so attacked. Like, how dare he talk about my mind in such a way? Like, come on, you know? So he just destroyed us, you know, deep thinkers. And he said, he took this quote that is very popular and common that goes, "I think, therefore I am." So that quote, when people hear it, they actually think it means I am what I think. And that in itself is not wrong, because "therefore I am" quote was actually initially said by Rene Descartes. You can look that up. I think it sounds like a French name. I might not have said that right, but yeah, when people think about that statement, they often liken it to the whole "I am what I think." And it's not necessarily wrong that you are what you think, or you become your thoughts eventually. However, in that quote, the author, or the original person, Rene, he was likening it to the idea that the fact that you are thinking equates to consciousness. So he likens your ability to think to you being conscious. Now, not only does Tolle take this quote and just says, I don't agree with this, but he just dismantles it, shreds it to pieces entirely, and says that we are not conscious because we are thinking, and our minds do not equate to consciousness. He takes this a step further also by insisting that we are not our minds. Now, not only are we not our mind, we're not anything that comes from our minds. So we're not our thoughts and we're not our feelings, and that's actually really important when you're trying to grow emotionally as a person. You need to be able to separate who you are from what you're thinking about. You understand that your thoughts just come and go, and you become more aware of them, and not necessarily detached, but you're able to observe them, and take what you need from it and just let it move on. And I thought that was interesting for him to say that, and just going against everything I know, because I am a strong believer in the "I think therefore I am" quote. It's something I really live by. I don't know about you guys, let me know in the comments below, but hearing him say that really shook me. And in his mission to continue to demonize the mind, I am one for the dramatic, so he was probably not so gung-ho about it as I'm describing, but you get what I mean, right? So he goes on to say that the preoccupation with so much mental thing is part of the reasons why human beings are inherently really sad these days. So people are in so much pain because they're spending so much time in their minds, in their heads, and it's almost like a switch that cannot be turned off. And I can understand this, because if you're someone that is maybe an introvert or someone that spends a lot of time in your mind, you might find that you find it difficult to shut down. You find it difficult to sometimes sleep at night because you are ruminating or thinking about things over and over, and too much of anything is bad, right? So it's not too much to also state that too much thinking is not good either. And this is essentially what Tolle was trying to tell us. He was telling us that we are not our minds, but the mind is a tool. But society has gotten to this level where it seems as though that the more you use your mind, or your ability to just kind of like how people are not used to just resting anymore. It's like the more you work, especially in this Western society, like in the United States, for example, such type A personalities, go-getting attitude. It's like there's nothing like an off day. You're more respected when you're like, oh look, I've been running on just 5 minutes of sleep. Where it's like, yay. And it's like, that's not what Tolle's telling us. And when you take that and you contrast that with the ideas I actually used to hold before this book, I've never thought about thinking in a negative way. In fact, I know too much of anything is bad, and I also know that too much thinking can be bad for you. But I always felt like it's not a vice that harms anyone. Maybe harms me, but it doesn't harm anyone. So it's not the worst vice in the world, but you need to be able to live on a balance, and that's essentially what you're getting from this book. So for me, when I think about the mind, I just think about all the discoveries of all the great scientists, all the Teslas and the Einsteins, and the Newtons, and it's like, they thought about those things and they brought a lot of discoveries that we're benefiting from today. And of course you want to dwell in your mind and come up with creative things, but there is this other book by another author that kind of repeated the same ideas that Tolle was trying to share here, in that you need to be able to use the mind as a tool the mind is not supposed to be running you. You are the one in control of the ship. So you should be in control of the mind, meaning that you should be able to shut it down at will. You should be able to say, okay, you know what, I'm done, I'm taking a break. And then you should be able to use it when you want to. And those breaks are actually the critical moments. So in that book on creativity, I'm gonna link below, the author actually emphasized on idleness and how often taking that step away, pausing and just being idle can be the critical moment for those epiphanies and eureka moments that lead to those huge discoveries. So that is definitely something I have been practicing, and I think it's something that I agree with Tolle in this. It's like, who am I to agree and disagree with him? But that was something I felt like, yes, you know, I'm in control of my mind, and my mind isn't supposed to be running me, or anyone, shouldn't be the case. So yes, that's important. And then he talks about, yes, I have my trusty notes, so I'm still looking at it. He talks about an identification with accomplishment. So there's often like this idea that some people have where they derive their sense of self from what they do, and they gain validation from the outside. Now, I know there's this trend where it seems like validation is such a bad thing. Validation is not a bad thing. Every now and then, you know, a little tap on the shoulder, you know, someone seeing you, treating you like they see your effort and contribution, and recognizing you for that can feel like a good thing. All right, everyone likes that feeling. However, the problem lies when that becomes your sole source. When that becomes your source of being, then you're constantly chasing that. So you need the source to come from inside. That way, regardless of what's happening outside, whether in your environment, in the world, society, your identity and your core stays stable. So Tolle talks about how a preoccupation with chasing accomplishments is how people derive their identification, and that is not necessarily something you want. Not dwelling too much in that seems very obvious and direct. The next thing he talks about was with regards to, you know, your relationships with people. And I have to say, in this book, when you're reading it, it seems like there's a lot of woo-woo stuff, right? It's very abstract when he's talking about consciousness, and I think it's a book for an abstract thinker. Much later in the book, he starts to make things a little more practical, and that's where this part I want to talk about comes in, where he talks about relationships. So he talks about how you can apply this. So in a situation where you and your partner, your significant other, are having a stormy situation, you're having maybe a nasty argument, and that's great, right? Who doesn't like to have a nice session of, you know, arguments? I know no one does, you know. So he says that having this consciousness, you know, becoming conscious, it gives you the ability to be able to keep that space for your partner and be present in that moment. You know, Tolle spends a lot of time emphasizing on how ugly, stormy moments can be opportunities for awakening and consciousness. By being conscious and being present in that situation with your partner, you're able to take a step back and respond rather than just react. You know, you're thinking, do I want to add fuel to this fire? Is that gonna be the best outcome we're trying to achieve? And maybe perhaps I should just hold space for this person, and, you know, that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be a doormat in the situation. Obviously, it's an unhealthy situation. You know, you're able to take a step back, process, and decide that, okay, you know, this is an unhealthy situation for me, and, you know, you make the decision to do what you have to do. But where you and someone are just having an argument, you know, rather than dwell in the past, or this has happened before, or this is going to happen again in the future, past, future kind of thing. Just stay in the present and try to be there, and try to connect with the person. You know, he spends a lot of time talking about how all those kinds of situations are opportunities to become conscious within yourself and to become conscious with your partner, and opportunities for growth. And you know, take it as a personal thing. You know, you come in and you're like, okay, this is a situation, and you know, it's in theory it makes sense, and I think it makes sense in practice as well, although I think it's just one of those things that you're gonna have to do often to be able to get a hold of it, get a hang of it, and get used to just operating in that mode. It doesn't come easy by any means, but it's definitely beneficial. But just in theory, like, yeah, you know, you're having this horrible argument and you're thinking, I don't think anybody's gonna just think this is an opportunity for us to be conscious. It helps when you and your partner are on that journey together, and you, I mean, obviously, two people can be doing that. That would be great. The next thing he talks about is mindfulness and meditation and how to calm your mind. This section was especially useful for me because it's one of the reasons why I actually picked up this book. I'm trying to get into mindfulness, and it's never a bad idea to be able to calm your mind. Being able to calm your mind at will implies control, and we want to be the ones running the ship, not the other way around. So this was another section where he spent some time giving us some practical tips, because he actually provided a bunch of, not a bunch, but some examples of some mindfulness exercises that you can do, and meditation exercises as well, regulating your breathing, you know, adding imagination in the process and all of that. And I actually tried some. I'm actually going to be using them with some other meditation apps as well, and that was very helpful. You know, it talks about seizing the moment. So in order to seize the moment, of course, when you're doing mindfulness, for those of you that have done it, if you haven't before, in all of those guided meditation, you're going to be, you know, focusing on your present and your surroundings. When the thoughts comes into your mind, you're not like pushing thoughts away. You just become aware of the thoughts. Like, okay, I'm thinking about this angry thing. You know, he insists that in a bid to try to force a thought out of your mind, you kind of keep it growing and alive. So you're like, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be angry. And then you're getting angrier or something. So instead, just recognize, okay, anger, I see you. I can see that you're here. You know, I don't want to turn this into a meditation exercise, but essentially you're becoming aware and conscious of those thoughts and those feelings when they happen. In meditation, you're aware of, you know, your body. You know, you're trying to get in tune with your body. Often that starts with breathing and your surroundings, and he then touches on things like gratitude, because when you become more present like that, then you're able to focus on what is and not what was. Focusing on what is, and as opposed to what will be or what was, is it kind of helps you stay present, right? So that brings us to seizing the moment. For you to be able to seize the moment, you actually have to be present in the moment. Being present in the moment means being conscious of the now, like he says in his book. You don't want to be dwelling in the past, and you don't want to be dwelling in the future. And I'm going to speak for myself, all right, because this is a personal reflection. Thinking about spending a lot of time thinking, often, I'm not going to lie, I juggle between two realities, the past and the future. You know, what will be and what was. And thinking a lot about what will be can make you anxious. It can make you a worrier. You can be worrying a lot about things. I'm not by any means downplaying anxiety disorders or anything like that, people that need to get those medications, do what you gotta do. But authors like Eckhart Tolle, they will tell you that people's preoccupation on things other than the now kind of drives that anxiety within them. And if they can just try and be more in the present, they wouldn't be so anxious, you know. And when you're in the moment, you're able to seize those opportunities. He spends a lot of time talking about something he calls the pain body, right? And then he divides pain into, or should I say classifies pain into the personal pain and the collective pain. So with the collective pain, you're talking about the pain of maybe your ancestors' population, a group of people, things like racism, slavery, for women, oppressions associated with inequality, you know, that kind of thing, or like period pain, something like basically every woman can identify with to some degree, some more severe than others. And he has a part of this book in the later chapters where he talks about how you can tap into your period pain and sees it as an opportunity for consciousness. And he actually says those are some of the most what's the word, critical times to tap into such a thing. I haven't tried it. If you have, please let me know in the comments. Let me know how that worked out for you. But he says, you know, he talks a lot about this pain body and how we feed it. It's like this monster, and dwelling on things and that make that cause pain, and just thinking about pain and how that feeds the pain body and it grows. And the way to basically destroy the pain body is to just be aware of the pain body. It's not to fight the pain body. It's not to fight pain when it comes into your mind. It's just to be aware, okay, like I said earlier with mindfulness, mindfulness is a very great tool for fighting the pain body, as he says. And he says we can actually be able to grow from the pain, and that there's a kind of beauty that comes with it, you know. Regardless of the conditions. So he talks about how you can grow from physical pain in your body, psychological pain, pain associated with a condition, maybe pain from not having a job, poverty, being homeless, things like that. He sees those moments as critical moments that can be useful for awakening and consciousness. And I thought that was interesting. I haven't tried some of these things out, like trying to use my pain as a conveyor belt for some kind of spiritual awakening. If anything, I'm trying to just be more aware of pain. Like he says, don't make it bigger than it is, don't feed the pain body. And finally, Eckhart Tolle talks about the duality of things. I'm sure he's not the only one that has commented on this. It's actually something I have an awareness of. I've kind of known about this before I read his book. How, you know, happiness and sadness, or joy and pain and things like that are usually two sides of the same coin. And you can't be able to experience one and understand the significance of it without experiencing the other. And it's just part of life, you know. This is the end of my reflection. And I do recommend this book for people that are interested in spiritual awakening. Eckhart Tolle does a good job in trying to explain this concept, you know, so that regardless of your background, whether you're spiritual or not, and whether you are Christian or Buddhist or whatever kind of religion you have, whether you're religious or not, basically, you're able to still get what you need from this book and apply it to your life. He does borrow some of the philosophies of these other philosophies or religions. You know, he makes references to Jesus, to monks in the Buddhist temples, and he makes note that he's not necessarily using those ideologies or constructs as they are used in those places. So if you're going to read this book, I'm going to recommend that you kind of leave what you already know at the door and just walk in with an open mind. I kind of recommend this for any other thing you're trying to read in general. You're going to want to just walk in with an open mind and drop your judgments at the door, and then maybe when you're done taking it all in, you can make those comparisons for yourself. So I definitely recommend this book for people that want to go down that route. And of course, I'm gonna see you in my next one. And as I always say, if you have any recommendations or suggestions for my next video, a movie, or maybe a book, let me know. If you want to know what I'm reading now, I'm going to save that for maybe my next video. Alright, so please, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and please share this video. I am still going to be here every 2 weeks to keep it coming. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.